Boom! We're on. And we're live. The question, though, is, did I make it on time, or did I go right beyond the 12 o'clock mark, well, the 12 mark, and do one of these? Did I do one of these? Did I do this, or did I do this? Tell me. Tell me in the comments. I think I did this, you know. Only just, as the Brits would say. I don't think my tie is all the way, you know. I don't. This shirt, I must tell you, do you know where I got this shirt from? This I got from Brooks. You guys know that shirt shop, Brooks? I think that this is not a commercial for Brooks. I'm just sharing with you where I got the shirt. The tie, I think I got the tie from Brooks as well, you know. And people sent me some messages. You know, the video that I shot of, it was me at Kingsman Tailor's. I was getting a suit made. And there's a young man there at Kingsman Tailor's. He's brilliant. He might be from Pakistan, I don't know. And, or he might be from India. And he was measuring me. And I said to him, I said, I want us to make a video. This is a TikTok challenge. And he was so nice about it. But he didn't know what it was, though. He said, sure, let's do it. What is it? I explained it to him, and he said, okay, let's. I said, look, your assistant is going to stand with the phone, the camera. You and I are going to stand here. You're going to pretend you're measuring my suit, and then I'm going to break into a Michael Jackson kick. And then he says, okay, so what do I do? I said, no, you just do what you do as a tailor. I'll handle the rest. And the rest is history. So I don't know why I shared that, but there's a reason. Let me just double check my mic. Tell me in the comments below if this broadcast is clear. I just need to suss it out on my phone here. That way I make absolutely and doubly certain that I'm using the lapel. Clear. I just need to suss it out on my. I think we're good. What do you think? Boom. I think we're good. Yeah. No, mama light. I can see the lights in my reflection. What do you think? I think I need to alter that. I need to switch that up, because what you don't want is the light in my eyes. That's going to be a bit of a distraction. I'm going to stand up and I'm going to adjust that, guys. Yeah, let me do that. So I don't know why I shared that, but there's a reason. All right, let's do that. Now I'm going to stand up. Please don't criticize my chair. Let me explain why I prefer the wooden chair. The reason is simple. I don't want to sit in a chair that makes me swivel from one side to the other. That's a distraction. You know how some people sit in a swivel chair? A swivel chair is the chair that, I have one here, I'll show it to you now. I don't want to sit in that because it's very tempting to move up and down, not up and down, from side to side. I don't want to subject you to that. But if I sit on a hard wooden chair that is stationary, that's not going to go anywhere, it makes sure that I am put and I'm straight in the frame. But I'm going to get up, I'm going to adjust my light, so when you see my chair, don't criticize my chair. There's a reason for that, okay? So just give me a moment. Right. There we go. And just to prove to you guys that I have a swivel chair, let me show it to you now, because I bought this chair after you guys complained about my hard back chair. See there? But I don't want to sit in that because I'm going to be tempted to move. And who needs that aggravation? So I'm going to use my hard wooden chair, and it makes sure that I don't move from side to side. See there? See, it's all better. It's all better. All right, let's get into it. Guys, I have to share something with you. A few minutes ago, my wife phoned me. And she, you know, how many people know that I've been married for 25 years? And when your wife phones, there's a tone in your partner's voice, immediately you know something is wrong. Okay, and that only happens after you've been married years. There's a tone in your partner's voice that tells you they're going to give you some good news. There's a tone that says to you they just want to say hi. And then there's a tone that says you're in trouble. And there's different tones. You learn these tones as you go along. Okay, they don't happen by spontaneous combustion. It takes years to master the tones. So when she phones me, and I could hear it in her tone, she was upset about something. And I answered the phone. I said, "Hi, dear," because I know it's her. And she says, "Are you okay?" I said, "I'm fine." I said, "What's up?" She says, "Well, I'm sitting in this car, and I turn on the radio, and I hear some young men. They're rapping. And there's a line in there about you, and they're saying horrible things about you." I said, well, who is it? She said, I don't know who these kids are, They're just rapping, and they're sort of insulting you and calling you all sorts of names. And in that moment, I had to sort of assure my wife and tell her that, honey, it's part of the deal. Being a social media personality, that's the name of the game. And we don't have any control over what people say about us, what they sing about us. We have no control over that. All we have control over is who we are. Now that's a perfect segue into what I want to talk about, because this is something that I've been singing this for years. I've always said, and I'll never change it, it is an immutable fact, it is an unalterable truth, that our culture, our tradition, demands that we respect elders. Now, there's this argument young people have. No, for an elder to be respected, he must also respect. No, those aren't the rules. The rules are, if an elder gives you elderly advice, not insulting you, but giving you advice as a youngster, as someone younger than him or her, your response should not be abrasive. Your response should not be one of insults. It shouldn't. There is no justification for that whatsoever. So please remove from the table of discussion, remove from the constellation of argument, remove this idea that no, in order for elders to be respected, they must also respect us. When we give you advice, respect us. Just because we give you advice, it doesn't mean we are disrespecting you. Of course, if an elderly person begins to insult you, that is another topic. That is a different issue. But if you are being given advice, either embrace it or reject it. But don't insult elders. I've always said that. I can't think of one elder, not my peer, because, sometimes in Zambia, you have to explain these things. There's a difference between a peer and an elder. A peer is someone that is within my age bracket, someone that's within my stratosphere, someone that does what I do. That's a peer. A peer is your equal. There's a difference between a peer, P-E-E-R, and an elder, someone older than you. These are lessons, unfortunately, that we have lost as a people. I said in my preamble that there's this culture now in Zambia that is being fostered, that's being cultivated. What that means is there is a seed of rebellion against authority. There's a seed of rebellion against elderly teaching that is being cultivated, watered, nurtured by people like Macky and Logic. When those young people call elderly people ifipuba, do you know what they are telling their 1 million plus followers? This is very important. Now, whether or not you disagree, that is entirely up to you. My job as the owner of this platform is to teach you what I believe is correct. It's my platform. When people like Macky and Logic, when they start calling elderly people mwe, do you know what you're fostering? You're teaching young people to tell even their fathers in their homes, don't be shocked, don't be surprised, don't be shocked when a young person who is inspired by Macky, a young person who is inspired by Logic, goes home and insults the father. Can you even think of that? Just the thought was not there because you feared that thought would be somehow amplified. In our days, sorry to sound like an old, antiquated, ancient individual, but that's what I am. We cannot lose sight of our culture. We cannot allow Intambi to slip through our fingers because of rappers. We can't do that. There are people that need to stand in the gap, defend what's right, and say, this is our culture. Chitundu cheswich. Entambi cheswich. This is our tradition and this is our culture. Uphold it. Now, people who talk like that are laughed at by these young people. Well, that's what's going to sustain you. Our teachings are what is going to sustain you. That rebellion against authority, rebellion against elders, disdain against elders, that is not going to take you anywhere. It will not advance your goal. Yes, it will give you likes on Facebook. But the devastation will be catastrophic. And you know it. And lastly, let me just say, all these young people who cultivate this idea of insolence, insele, towards elders, not peers, elders. If you have a peer and you are jostling, that's different. Please understand, that's a different conversation. I'm talking about a young person engaging with an older person. That's what I'm saying. You are eroding who we are as a people. Recently, there was a young girl who was insulting Sande Sinyangwe. Everybody knows I'm not a big fan of Sande Sinyangwe. I'm not a fan of him. I'm not. In fact, I would say I don't like his style of ministry. But Sande Sinyangwe was younger than me, so I can scold him when I feel that he's wrong. But a young person, younger, a school-going child, a college student, insulting Sande Sinyangwe. I mean, for who? For what? For why? It means that it means you have not been trained. You have not been taught. This is something that I'm witnessing. I've lived a long time. This is not my first rodeo. I am 56 years old. I have watched all the presidents. I have come into contact with every single president from Makaunda to the present. And I can tell you now, what I'm seeing on social media is something I've never witnessed before. The level of insolence. And when the government talks about traditional etiquette and national guidance, these are the things that have to be aggressively tackled. It needs to be taught in schools. It needs to be taught in colleges. The idea of Ubuntu, our culture, in time B, has to be taught. It's not going to happen by spontaneous combustion. I can tell you that. It won't happen by osmosis. It won't be called into existence because you say. It has to be a deliberate effort. The responsibility that these artists, Macky and Logic and all these guys, is the weight that rests on their shoulders of responsibility is immense. To whom great power is given. What's the quote? Great responsibility is bestowed, or something like that. You must understand that. You know, the other day, and just to explain to you how serious I am about this, let me tell you this story. 5 days ago, born and bred creator, Innocent Kalaluka. A guy that, man, I tell you, if there's a Zambian that I find to be a top citizen, is Innocent Kalaluka. And how many people know that when you get a call from Innocent Kalaluka, if you get a missed call from him, you immediately call back? I mean, that's the type of guy. Innocent Kalaluka is a person you want to know. Smooth IK is a person that it would help you to know who he is. Because he's a very well-connected guy. You know, he knows everybody. So I was at home and I noticed I got a missed call from Innocent Kalaluka. And I immediately called him back. And the very first thing I said to him was, Smooth IK, to what do I owe this great pleasure? I was so happy to get a missed call from him. And he said to me, he said, Mr. Mwewa, we're holding the Born and Bred Awards, and we want you to present an award. I said, wow, thank you, Innocent. I would be honored. I would love to do it. Tell me the day, tell me the time, and I will come running. So he tells me the day, tells me the time, and then he says, oh, by the way, there's a little thing I need to let you know. I said, little thing, what's that? He said, well, we want you to present the award with Logic, the guy from Impali. I said, Innocent, why the hell would you want me to do that? He says, no, it's, you know, we thought it would be a good play on, you know, given the fact that, you know, you guys have had drama and on social media, we thought it would be a light moment. I said, Innocent, listen to me. That is where you're getting it wrong. If I were to agree to such a thing, do you know the message I'd be sending to young people? Do you have any idea what I would be saying to young people if I stood next to Logic and I laughed off what he said? It would mean I'm endorsing this idea that young people can insult elderly people. Young people will look at that and say, oh, so which means Bale Sekafie? Eh? It means Bale Ichtani Bale Sekafie. So it's okay to call Abakulu Ifipuba. Eh? Imwe. I said, I can't do that. I will not stand on the same stage with someone that promotes an idea to disrespect elders, and when that person is a young person. I don't subscribe to that. It would go against everything I stand for. It would go against everything I was taught. My father, my mother taught us the value of respecting elders. This is a concept that some of you don't grasp it. And it's so sad. And yet to me, it is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Simple. It's the easiest thing. I get shocked out of my mind, and I say it all the time. Sometimes you'll watch me when I'm doing my lives. I'm doing a live, I'm walking through doing a live video, and a young person who sells amatoloshi, toki bakadodi, he's barely 21 years old. He yells, he screams, "Iwe chitambala." Ulaiba inati chitambala. Tawafundwa. Have you not been trained? Have you not been taught? You can't call me chitambala. You want him waiche. Inendi mukulu pali webo. Iwoli mwaiche pali nebo. Because uli mwaiche uleti va chitambala. Entambishesu. Efunde. Oh, chief father, iwe. Turesa kafia iwe chief father. Iwe chief father na adichipate chopantu. It erodes our culture. You know where that came from? It came from these artists. Artists need to now start singing songs about culture and respect. Love of country, love of intambi. Not calling people chifaza. Chifaza. Abakulu. Oh no, it's okay. I mean, those are your peers. Or someone younger. So I said to Innocent, Innocent, I'm sorry. I love you. But I would rather set myself on fire than to stand on the same stage with logic, thereby fostering this idea that it's okay for young people to call older people mwefi. Wrong. And Zambian, that is not our culture. Let us reject that and embrace Ubuntu. That is all we are standing for. Now, if any of this is anathema to you, if what I'm saying does not resonate with you, if you don't agree with anything I'm talking about, you can jump through this. It doesn't make a bit of difference. The truth is the truth. That is our culture. And we'll never change it. Teach your children that. My wife and I, we teach our children that. That is our duty. Ubuntu. It will never change. Never. All right. I hope you've heard. Should creators pay taxes? Absolutely. Social media has changed. Social media has evolved, and we have to evolve with it. Never mind this argument about, no, we are not monetized, so we don't have to pay tax. No, you only pay tax on the income you receive. If you're not receiving income from monetization, of course you won't be taxed. But if you are placing ads on your page, that is the reason all of us now, including myself, SML TV, we need to formalize our businesses. These Facebook pages we have, it's no longer child's play. These are businesses now. And a business has to be taxed. So my answer to that question is, if in fact Zambia Institute of Marketing is demanding that social media content creators within the Zambian context must pay tax, then it is in order. Why? Because we have to pay tax on a revenue. Money that we are receiving, we have to formalize our businesses. That is being a good citizen. That's what that is. It's got nothing to do with, no, we are not monetized. No. You pay tax on the money you earn. Okay? Me included. I have to do that now. I have to formalize everything about SML TV. Going into 2026, that is my number one goal, is to completely do it, streamline it, make sure that all the I's are dotted and all the T's are crossed in terms of business, because this is a business. Okay? All right. Thought I'd share that with you guys. Thanks for watching. God bless. Bye. When I do this on the street, they think that I'm doing a UPND sign. And then when I try to fist bump them, they think it's PF. Because I love to fist bump. I don't like shaking people's hands on the street. I don't. And so when I see you, I either fist bump you or I salute you. But when I fist bump, they think it's PF. I said, no, this is just a fist bump. And then when I do this, they're like, oh, fun. I said, no, this is just a salute. You got to be careful on the street. All righty. Last thing I want to talk to you about, I need to wipe my brow. Did you hear the president make reference to his ring? When you've been married for years, this doesn't become so important. I mean, look, it depends on the couple. It depends on the couple. In my home, my wife and I, we have this thing. If I lose my ring, which I've done many times, she notices that and she takes off hers. She says, I'm not wearing it. If you're not going to wear your ring, I'm not wearing mine. The moment I put it back on, boom, I see her with the ring. It just depends on your home. There is no hard and fast rule. It just depends on you and your wife or your partner and how you have agreed to conduct yourselves in as far as the ring is concerned. I think it's important. I do, but then that's me. I think it's important to have a ring. I think it is. Yeah. All righty. God bless. Thanks for watching. Bye.